building. There's none of that there. But he's still telling you that the IT unit is now reviewing those tapes. So what is the point of the IT from the police officers reviewing the tape if you have already seen it and given evidence? So that is a little strange to me. And I just hope to see what happens after that. But he then made certain statements about that she was protesting on the streets, and then she came to the Parliament building. What I found strange when I saw the recording is that there is the speaker standing up watching the protesters. Silent protest, they are there. And then the young journalist comes across, stands in front of him and started to ask him a question. And then Richard Frederick just interrupts and interjects himself between the speaker and the young lady. I'm saying to my brother, the speaker, that from the time that Richard Frederick did that, he as the Speaker of the House should have taken himself out of the situation, removed himself there. This is the same Richard Frederick that is now trying to make you look like his friend, that threatened to kill you. You understand? So you get out of that there as quickly as possible.
So Mr. Francis, as far as I'm aware, that was an allegation, that threats were made.
But I said it on the radio before. I said it on the radio before, and I'm going to be speaking about this in the campaign, trail. I will be giving ball by ball commentary on this, It's because now that I've just said that, remember you realize you stopped me? Because I am sure that you are afraid of being sued and so on. And I don't want you to be sued, so I will stop. But Richard Frederick has his show. So he goes on his shows and he says anything what he wants. His pockets are deep. So NBC doesn't care whether they sue him or not, and so on. So I do not have the opportunity to do anything about it. But there is going to be an election period, and there are going to be public meetings, and I'm going to be making them statements. And if he wants to take me to court, he does. He will have to take me to court. But going back to the speaker, I found it strange that he was talking about now giving the press passes to come to oversee Parliament. I have to ask the question, which press are he going to give the press passes? Are journalists that are friendly to the government, or is everybody, whether you're independent or whether you seem to side by your reporting with the United Workers' Party? Is it going to be for everybody? And that is a statement that I would like him to answer. But what I want him to really look at is that the statement the young lady made, she said outside, that could have been a stretch. But from the footage I've seen on one of the videos that has been out, is that Dr. Ernest Hilaire did in fact touch the young lady on her shoulder. From my definition in the criminal code, the touching of a person by another without their consent is a battery. You cannot get away from that. Okay, there is extent, whether it was a forceful push or a slight push, there's the difference there, but it makes no difference when it comes to the definition of what a battery is. So we have to forget about that, and then the police will look at the degree and decide what they have to do, whether that is sufficient for a charge or not. But from what I saw, he actually touched her, and this is sufficient to constitute a battery. We listened to him speaking to her. He was not speaking in a good tone. He was angry. He told her that she was a member of the people outside demonstrating. So he was not happy with her. He was not happy at all with her. Okay? But besides that, he actually touched her. And that is the point that we must take into consideration. So the speaker has said he's going to put cards and his press cards and so on. That's very good. I have no problem with that. But I want to advise the speaker that there is something even more dangerous in Parliament. And the fact is that persons are allowed to enter the hollow chambers of Parliament with firearms. And this particular individual, Richard Frederick, made a statement that thallium who is the personal assistant or guard to the leader of the opposition, because he made a statement on Facebook about the Prime Minister, he considered that this guy is mentally unstable to be the bodyguard leader of the opposition when he has to come to Parliament. And as such, he is getting too close to the Prime Minister and anything can happen. We saw what happened. Taliam was transferred. So that threat has been negated. But the threat is still there because we all know who Richard Frederick is. Richard Frederick has been convicted of using a firearm in a public place. He has brandished his weapon on several occasions in public. He has threatened individuals with the use of his firearm. We know the animosity and the hate that Richard Frederick has for the leader of the opposition. Are we sure, are we certain that one of these days that rage will turn into something else and he shoots the leader of the opposition? So I'm suggesting to the Speaker, put things in place in Parliament, that when you get into Parliament and you are a licensed firearm holder, that you hand over your weapon to the police officer at present at Parliament. They will put it in a safe place for you until you are leaving Parliament. This is a bigger threat than any journalist going into Parliament to speak to a minister. We have not had any journalist assaulting any minister. This is the allegation now is the other way around. And so we have to put things in perspective. Then, in Parliament, we have what we call this parliamentary privilege, that you apparently can say whatever you want, how you want, and nothing can happen to you. But this is a fallacy, because that privilege is unlimited. It is limited. And what we saw happening with Richard Frederick, again, talking about the exhibits that the commissioner said were missing. This guy goes in Parliament and says categorically that he was instructed that the files and the exhibits were being kept at custody suites. That is a categorical statement. And Richard Frederick must be made to apologize to the public, or the Speaker now has to take action against Richard Frederick for making that kind of statement in Parliament. You just read earlier on that maybe the exhibits have been found and so on. Okay? That is the kind of thing that we cannot afford to happen in St. Lucia. So the police force, already demoralized, is even more demoralized than ever. Who will trust the police? And during the campaign, Timothy, I am going to bring out a point again about exhibits. I'm going to bring out another point about exhibits. And that exhibit, when I talk about it, we will see who are the persons in this elections or in this government that is causing chaos in St. Lucia. And my friend Kaka said so, crime is political. Because as long as you have criminals in politics, it will always be political. We have to get rid of the criminals in politics. And so I'm saying that I want the Speaker to take my advice very, very seriously. Because this guy comes into the chambers, you can see his 45 bulging out of the back of his jacket, and he's big and bold and threatening everybody, pointing fingers at. The day will come when there's something is going to be said about him in Parliament that he does not like or he cannot deal with, and he's going to shoot the leader of the opposition. So to prevent that from happening, to abort that sort of activity happening, please, Mr. Speaker, put things in place that politicians and parliamentarians would deposit their firearms somewhere in the Parliament in a safe place and before they enter the hallowed chambers. So, Tim, that is what I want to say. I know there's a video going out talking about the exhibits. I wrote a piece about it on Facebook, and I said, let us wait for the commissioner, because I knew what was going to happen. You understand? So now that it's coming out, I still want the commissioner to come out and say so. I want him to come out and say so, because I am not going to malign anybody. I'm not going to say things that I know that is not true. I have prided myself all my years as a police officer and a minister of government never to say a lie on anything that pertains to the public's interests, and I will continue to do so.
So whether the piece is true or not, right, regarding the article that was on the website of StNushaDailyPost.com, don't you think that by now the hierarchy of the police force, whether it's the acting police commissioner, the DCP, etc., assistant police commissioner, should have come forward by now to say something to address that particular issue, to say whether there's any truth to it or not?
Tim, you're 100% right. And I'm telling you, and I'm sure, I know that the commissioner is on vacation, but he's in St. Lucia. He is in St. Lucia.
No, but we have an acting police commissioner, we have a DCP, we have an ACP.
Acting commissioner. Tim, are you really serious in this place about acting commissioner? The man is not the acting commissioner. The man is the officer in charge, because they cannot make him acting. There are matters that are pending. They cannot make him act. Okay, so they have made him in charge. What kind of thing is that? I mean, this is a puppy show force that's going on there now. You have persons who have the rank of deputy commissioner. You have persons who have the rank of assistant commissioner. You cannot make them act. And the law said so. In the absence of the commissioner, for whatever reason, the deputy commissioner will have all the privileges and powers of the commissioner for up to 3 months before a determination is made. That is what the police ordinance talks about. That's what it says. And I know it verbatim. I've just said it to you verbatim. So by telling me you put in somebody in charge of what? In charge of what? You must be given the powers of the commissioner. So you can make promotions, you can make transfers, you can make whatever you have decisions you want to do. You can promote people. Okay? A person in charge cannot do these things. They cannot do that. So Tim, something is wrong. Something is wrong. This government has to look at the police force seriously and take action. Deal with this matter. I have always said that this young man who has been accused is not a bad individual per se, that that he doesn't know, or he has a good mind. He's intelligent. I can give him that. He's an intelligent young man. But when you have those allegations spinning around you, it's unfair to put him in that situation. He should have been somewhere coalescing and let the investigations complete itself, because he's getting paid. When they send you on leave, you're getting paid, Tim. It's not that you're going to be losing a salary or not. You're not doing that. They are paying you your full salary. So go, enjoy your salary, and allow the police force to do what they're supposed to do. If you are found not guilty or there's not sufficient evidence, then you come back. Okay? You will have been vindicated. That is what is important. But as long as you have him there, he will never be comfortable. He will never be settled. People are going to say things to him that is unfair. Some of his senior officers, some of the officers in the police force who are very brave and know the law will attack him one of these days. There's this Richard Frederick has his, his sidekick, Fregis, on his show on a Thursday. That happened with Mr. Broughton. Fregis was the superintendent, and he and Mr. Broughton were in some fisticuffs. These things happen in the police force. So we have to be very careful about the police force and know what we are doing in them. But Tim, these are the things that I wanted to talk about. We have to be fair in this country. We cannot say that we're going to give IT people from the police a review in the tape when you have seen the tape yourself and you have made a pronouncement. If you could have seen the tape, yes, and keep quiet. All right? Keep quiet and allow the police to do what they have to do, and then you make your thing. But you have already circumvented justice there by making that statement. So if the police comes and the police finds the tape saying that, showing you that the girl was in fact pushed, maybe she was pushed in the parliament, not outside of the parliament, how do you correct yourself? Because now, like, the Prime Minister has to go and correct himself because he said there was no K9 unit. You understand? Everybody has to correct themselves now. Richard Frederick will have to correct himself, and action has to be taken against him for making a categorical statement that the commissioner had to call the guys to get out of there because they were mashing up everything. Everything was destroyed except human life. How can a minister of government say something like that in 2025 and the public is not outraged? And this guy is not asked to resign his position as a minister of government. Enough is enough to him. And I can go on and go on and go on, and I don't want to continue going on because I'm getting a little hyped up with those sort of things. But when you destroy the police force like that, how did they come back from that? How did they come back from that? And I'm telling you, later on in the elections, you will hear me talking about another piece of exhibit. I will talk about it.
But allow me to ask you one question before you go. Why are you stressing and stipulating that maybe the Speaker should decide that persons with licensed firearms should not be allowed into the chambers of the island's Parliament? Shouldn't they be allowed to carry their firearm with them?
That's why you can carry your firearm into the House of Parliament. But listen to what I'm saying, and be very careful. So before you go up to the steps, you climb the steps to go into the hallowed chambers when the members sit around the table there, and the people and you discuss the bills and statements and so on. That is where I'm talking about, in there. Because that is where you get all the peacock. That is where when you call, you tell the Prime Minister whatever you want to tell him. Okay, that is where you call each other foolish and all sort of things like that without being déclassé. So one of these days, and we have seen the behavior of Richard Frederick in the House. We have seen it, even to his own people. When he told Joachim Gasser, sit down, Gasser, it's my turn to speak. I told you not to get up, and looking at him up, sit down. Yes, and his attitude to his own people. And we have seen what attitude he has to the leader of the opposition. Sometimes, every time I see the leader of the opposition stand up and speak, and I see Richard getting up, I already put my hand on my side, because if I am close there, I'm trying to take action for the leader of the opposition, because that is the guy's attitude, that's his character, that's a some mess, that's a person that has have no class whatsoever. He will do anything. He believes his money can make him survive in anything that he does. You understand? And gets other people involved, like he got the Speaker involved there. What you involve in the Speaker? They were speaking to the Speaker, not you. And the Speaker stays there and listens to the diatribe that this guy gives. We have to be careful in St. Lucia. Regardless what side we are supporting, we have to be fair and balanced in everything that we do. If we do that, we're going to have a better St. Lucia. But I'm telling you, that if we continue like that as politicians, now believing that we can touch people and push them and do anything that we want to them, one of these days, because they're putting people first, and they're correct, they're putting them first, because they're the first ones to die. Nothing has happened to a politician since, has happened to a politician now, and we don't know if it's going to happen to a politician. But if you push the people to the brink of despair, we do not know what we are going to cause. Any one of us can be a victim with that kind of rage that the public is now showing towards politicians. So I'm addressing my politicians. Please, let us forget about this hate. Let us forget about this trying to score political points. We have a country to run. We have 180-something thousand people. Well, no, there are more now, I think 200,000, because you have 40,000 Chinese, so you never know. But that is for us to deal with. And Tim, I am pleading with our politicians, please, let us bring the rhetoric down. Let us put some calm among our people, all right? And let us see whether we can have a better country than what we have. But we have to stop these lies. We have to stop making political points, cheap points, at the behest and at the detriment of people like the police force. That's all we have, And I remember many years ago, I spoke to Peter Josie, and if he's listening to you, he'll call. I told him that it is time that St. Lucia have a defense force. And he told me, Herman Gilbert, why you need a defense force in St. Lucia? I told him because we are a Caribbean country. We're in the tropics. And then we don't only want the defense force to go and shoot people and things like that and so on. No, we're in the tropics and there's hurricanes and all sorts of things, storms and so on. And then we need these young people to be inside there. We can teach them discipline and we can do a lot of things. So when the police are going out there, because the police force should never be going and get involved in some of the things that they get involved in. Because the police force shouldn't even be the police force. It should be a police service. It is only when the police have to investigate a matter they come in. So when there's a war between gangs and so on, the defense force goes in. They do what they have to do. And then the police comes and investigates. But when the police SSU has to go and do it, then the police are investigating themselves. And that is one of the issues, okay? That is one of the recommendations that the Jamaican gave, that we should have our own independent body investigating police excesses and government's corruption. And we did that. We took out some police officers and formed that unit. That unit is now at the UNORA house. They're there. So they can help the Integrity Commission and do things, do the investigation that the Integrity Commission needs to be done. But Tim, like I said, I just wanted to bring this point. Like I tell you, it hurts me to talk about my brother. The speaker is my brother. And that will not change. But when I see things that are not right happening, I will not stand idly by and allow it to happen without saying what I have to say.
All right,
okay?
Sir. Thank you so much for speaking with us. So, just heard there from former Deputy Police Commissioner and former National Security Minister, Herman Gill Francis. Let's listen to the Speaker of the House, his brother, Claudius Francis, and he addressed that matter involving Miss Eldris Charles, as well as the Deputy Prime Minister of St. Lucia, Dr. Ernest Hilaire. Let's listen now to the Speaker of the House, Claudius Francis.
Had made a formal allegation against the Deputy Prime Minister, to use her words, that he had pushed her out of the building. I have agreed to cooperate with the police, even though there is sufficient case law that says I don't have to. But we have agreed to cooperate with the police. As I speak with you now, an officer from the IT unit of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force is downloading the footage, and the footage shows none of what Ms. Charles alleges. My cooperation is premised on a number of things. That when the police review the footage and find nothing, that Ms. Charles will be charged for wasting police time and making a false accusation. But the footage shows none of what she alleges. So just thought I'd let you know that. Now, under the Public Order Act, it is an offense to demonstrate within the precincts of the Parliament. And Ms. Charles could have been charged. Ms. Charles was wearing, in fact, prior to Ms. Charles walking into the Parliament, she was part of a protest on Labrie Street.
Speaker of the House, Mr. Claudius Francis. Let's listen now to Miss Charles. That's Miss Eldris Charles.
Literally put his hand on my back and pushed me out of the Parliament, asking me to step outside because he said I was protesting.
And we've since had a denial coming from the Deputy Prime Minister, and that is Dr. Ernest Hilaire, in the matter involving the two individuals and the allegation that was made by Ms. Charles.
She said I pushed her out of Parliament. That is categorically untrue. I think there's also a clip circulating showing, what happened. And, that's it. I have heard talk of that there was going to be a complaint for criminal assault. The police has not contacted me. I have not received any notice of this.
Just heard there from the island's Deputy Prime Minister, Dr. Ernest Hilaire. Still to come, your calls, WhatsApp messages, and we'll continue the discussion. And Amanda will have some of the comments in the chat room. This month, that's August, La Clinique de Corps is offering a $50 discount on all doctor consultations. Visit them today and take advantage of this promotion.
You know that feeling when you have an uncontrollable desire for fried chicken? That's the KFC. A substance that stimulates your senses to identify the aroma of our secret recipe or an extra crispy crunch from any distance. It's invisible to the naked eye, but you can feel it traveling throughout your body, taking control. All so you can enjoy a juicy bite of KFC. Ignite your senses with KFC.
Lazarus's Funeral Home is here for you. Lazarus's Private Cemetery offers a peaceful resting place for your loved ones. With tranquil settings, visitation, and reflection, we believe in the compassionate care of all our departed loved ones. Lazarus's Private Cemetery, let us help you create a final resting place. Make it special. Make it Lazarus's Funeral Home, your friend in a time of need. Payment plans are available for tombs. Call us in Vidbutay at 452-7491 or in New Dock Road, VA4, 454-6555.
Hey Lucelec, Sherry here. I've been hearing all about my account and its features. Can you really do all that?
Absolutely, Sherry. I'm Taisha, by the way. My account is your all-in-one power hub. You can check your bill. It's even emailed to you every month. Need a copy? You can download a PDF version anytime. You can manage multiple accounts and paying is a breeze. Use your card or opt for online bank payments. Thank you. Whatever suits you best. Keeping tabs on your energy use? You got it. Track your consumption, download payment records, and see how you stack up against previous months and others nearby.
Thanks for breaking it down A1, Taisha.
You got it, Sherry. My account puts the power in your hands. Remember, it's your energy, your way.
In the blink of an eye, disaster can strike. Are you ready? When the winds rage and the rain pours, will you be prepared? Don't let the next hurricane catch you off guard. At MNC Home Depot and Sunbelt, we understand the importance of preparation. From generators to plywood, we have everything you need to weather the storm. Don't wait until it's too late. Visit MNC Home Depot and Sunbelt today and make sure your family is safe and secure this hurricane season. Play it safe. Get prepared.
Flo's prepaid customers can now unlock big bonus rewards like bonus data, prizes, and more every time you activate a 3-day prepaid plan or launcher. Activate a plan, then scratch to reveal your bonus data. Plus, get points for extra prizes. The more you activate, the more bonus data and prizes you can win. Get in on the big bonus rewards when you activate a prepaid plan. Dial *129# or visit topupflow.com to activate a plan today.
Have you had a stroke or symptoms like numbness, headaches, or back pain? When your body sends a warning, don't wait. MRI is the gold standard for seeing what other imaging can miss, like brain damage, spine issues, and early cancer. At La Clinique de Corps, we are the only center in St. Lucia offering the most advanced MRI technology. Fast, radiation-free, expertly interpreted, and insurance accepted. Call 451-6559 or WhatsApp 721-9950. La Clinique de Corps, Center of Excellence, where quality meets expertise.
Essie, don't tell me that tire flat again. I just changed that tire.
Wait, what? You just changed that tire?
Well, I bought a used one because you didn't give me enough money.
Oh, I see. Well, you know what? Chivi's Tire Shop only carry brand new quality tires at affordable prices with free installation.
Hey, it seems you're working at Chivi's Tire Shop. How you know all that?
Come on, Brenda. The tire shop down the road from our home in the American Drywall Building.
Oh, yes. I forgot. Well, you know what, Patrick? Let's go there right now. Take your wallet. Let's go.
Chivi's Tire Shop, located at the American Drywall Building, Vidbutay. Call or WhatsApp 584-5986. Chivi's Tire Shop. Pay less, drive more.
At First National Bank, we believe being first means putting you first. Your first home? We've got the mortgage. Starting your first business? Count on our commercial loans. Dreaming of your first car? Drive it home today. Heading to college with a student loan? No matter the amount, make First National Bank all your loan needs. First in service, first in trust, first 5 of your nearest first so we can help National Bank here for you.
That's gone for 6. The Republic Bank CPL is here, and the biggest party in sport just got bigger. This August, all roads lead to Darren Sammy Cricket Ground as the St. Lucia Kings light up the island with 5 explosive home games from August 23rd to 31st. Every 6, every wicket, every roar from the crowd is a shot of pure Caribbean adrenaline. So grab your tickets now at cplt20.com or at your local box office. It's time to turn up for the biggest party in sport.
Optimum Events brings the heat with Radiance. Radiance! The all-inclusive breakfast fed at Moncubarilla Estate in Soufriere.
Use the cocoa tea, use the sugar, and together we are complete, darling. Heat day up, heat day up.
Radiance! With the Extreme Band, Hollywood HB, A1 Jugglers, Darcy High, Sir Lancelot, and Imran Nerdy.
I want it,
Gourmet breakfast, sunrise sips. This is not your average Sunday. Early bird drops July 12, just $300. Regular $350. Tickets only. Sorry, no door sales. Get yours at the Cell Island Wide, Mambo's Bar in Soufriere, or online at 4circlestickets.com. Non-stop vibes from 6 a.m. until 2 p.m. Radiance! August 24th at Moncubarilla. Sponsored by Bounty Rum and JP Shanae.
This is the most monitored talk show in the world. We have a call via WhatsApp. Hello, good afternoon to you. This is NewsSpin. You are on the air.
Hello, Tim. Good afternoon.
Hi.
Yes,
Mr. Montut. Good afternoon to you, sir.
Yes. Tim, I am tempted to quote deceased Mindo Philip, and to say that this is a Charlie Chaplin country. When I've observed what has been going on, I listen to what is going on. Honestly, it cannot be more disturbing than this. Now, this new development where we are being told that the evidence in the Shakadan and Kimberly DeLeon cases were never missing in the first place, that it was in a box and that they had closed down one of the stations and it was placed in a big box and it was smelly misplaced. Now that comes on the heels of a disclosure made by the police commissioner in a press conference. And the police commissioner is ahead of our Royal St. Lucia Police Force, addressing the nation on two serious matters such as those 2 cases. Told us, while he claimed there was a breakthrough, told us categorically that the evidence was missing. Subsequent to that, Tim, in a most despicable, inappropriate manner, a minister of government, a member of parliament, would divulge sensitive information and go as far as to suggest that he has no compunctions about, discussing matters of security as he has done in the past. And to tell the nation that the files were being kept at custody suites and that the disappearance of those files occurred when custody suites was demolished, and as he always does, he's stating that as a fact. Now, there are 2 matters there. One, that flies in the face of what we are being told now, that the evidence has in fact been discovered. But more importantly than this, the impropriety of such behavior, the fact that we as a country continue to accept this as normal behavior for a man holding such office as Richard Frederick does, that is totally unacceptable in any civilized society. At the end of the day, we have to ask ourselves, when will our leaders, when will our elected officials, the current government in particular, be held to moral and ethical standards, that is not beneath the office that they hold, and to disrespect St. Lucians like they do, and to show the level of indiscipline, and disrespect that they're displaying, especially Richard Frederick, And the Prime Minister sees nothing wrong with this. Now, Tim, let me tell you what is very serious. We are facing a major crisis as far as crime is concerned. And the kind of crime in particular that is most bothersome to us is crime related to gun violence, which has resulted in the deaths of hundreds of St. Lucians, the majority of which cases have not been solved. You have a minister who comes on television and says to you that he's getting files from the police on private individuals. He goes on his show and divulges information about unsolved murder cases. He accuses private individuals of being criminals and being involved in crime. He now tells us, well, apart from giving the commissioner himself instructions on television, directing him exactly what to do, and we saw it actually happen, as in the case of Officer Jan Gustav and Talium. We also know too that he has given instructions to the city police. That in itself compromises the police. That in itself is a dangerous trend. When an individual who does not have anything to do with the police, and as we've been told, there's a separation of powers, ought to be a separation of powers, that an individual, especially with the reputation and the notoriety of Richard Frederick, can, apparently from what we are seeing and hearing, control the police force. I do not know if St. Lucians do not recognize the danger inherent in that, and whether the police themselves do not understand how this undermines the integrity and the credibility of the police force. I asked Commissioner of Police Vern Gad many weeks ago to come out and make a statement about the fact that Richard Frederick was giving him directives on television. Well, rather than that, he showed us that the directives were actually being carried out. Commissioner Gad now is in a very compromised situation, especially, telling us that under his watch, the things that have happened that has had no resolution to them, and I cannot imagine how difficult it would be to investigate those matters when we know who is supposed to be directly responsible in the case of the dead police canine, in the case of the missing evidence. They also ought to know directly who are the people responsible for that. No heads have rolled. No conclusive, definitive statement has been made on those matters. And in the face of all of that, he makes that statement and takes off on vacation. I've given up on the Prime Minister because he himself has admitted that he's clueless. He has demonstrated that he's clueless, and of course, he's still not a police. So I've given up on him. But we as a country, don't we realize that when we ruin, we dismantle all institutions that are supposed to contribute to good governance and a secure society, we stand idly by. We are actually facilitators of what is happening. And there should be outrage on the part of St. Lucians that our government will facilitate, entertain, and encourage the kind of behavior we've seen from Richard Frederick, and that our police force can, on the surface, from what they are putting out to us, the public, appear to be so incompetent and unprofessional. That is scary in the environment that we're living in today. When people are being killed on the streets of St. Lucia, broad daylight, okay, we are not safe in our country. People are being murdered, even innocent people who have nothing to do with gangs or criminal activity are being killed broad daylight. And St. Lucians think, because it has not happened to them, because it has not happened to me, am I supposed to think that I'm safe? Well, let me just say something, Tim. Each and every one is in danger with the current situation that is going on. And we should be very, very concerned about that climate that exists right now. And be careful, because it can go from bad to worse. And when you have a leader who is also a prime minister, who's also a minister of national security, who is clueless, who has clearly demonstrated that he does not have what it takes to handle the portfolio, and he is allowing a member of his cabinet, Richard Frederick, to do what he is doing currently, okay? Publicly too, on television, in the face of the public, in Parliament, everywhere. And nothing is being done about that. That reprehensible behavior is being condoned, endorsed, and facilitated by our government. That we as a people must take a stand and ensure that that cannot continue. We have a compromised government that cannot take a firm stand on crime, and now they have compromised our police force by the actions of a member of parliament and a member of cabinet, Richard Frederick. The commissioner should take stock. Like I said to him, he is allowing what is taking place, and whether he's getting instructions from people like Richard Frederick, he's allowing that to undermine his credibility, his professionalism, and his integrity as an individual. So we must all take stock. And I'm saying so because I am concerned as a St. Lucian. I live in this country. And I'm concerned about my security and my safety. And those who talk about not politicizing crime, I will say to them, you can go to hell. Because my safety and security is the primary responsibility of my government. Okay? I want to repeat that. One of the primary responsibilities of any government is our safety and our security. And if a government cannot provide that to us, cannot guarantee us that they can do something to provide an atmosphere that is relatively safe and secure, that we have to be living in fear, then they should demit office, call the damn elections, and let people who can do the job get into office. And if the commissioner of police is going to allow the police force to be compromised in this manner and to look so bad and so incompetent and unprofessional, he should think again as a professional as to what exactly he's doing to that institution that is so vital, necessary, and important to us as St. Lucians. Team, I thank you.
Thank you so much for calling, sir. Former government minister and currently PRO of the opposition United Workers' Party, Leonard Spider-Motoot. WhatsApp message, somebody says there, good afternoon. The cable connecting surging crime to potential political downfall for the SLP is live and humming with dangerous voltage. Yes, the current trajectory of violent crime makes an SLP defeat in the next general election a distinct and growing possibility. We have a call. Good afternoon to you. This is NewsSpin. You are on the air. Hello?
Yes, team.
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon to you. Good afternoon.
Remember there was a time Richard Fredericks had a problem. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. I'm hearing you. Listening.
Can you remember one time Richard Fredericks had a problem with Alan Chasley's bodyguard holding a gun where he's whatever. You remember that? And now Richard Fredericks has his gun in the house on his side. Well, every time.
But this is not the first time he's had this firearm in his possession in the parliament.
So why complain about Chasley's bodyguard have his gun everywhere Chasley goes? Richard has his in the house on his side. I am home and I'm afraid. Because I never know what that man is going to do. He's carrying his everywhere he go. He's in the house with it hanging on his side. But he want to make Chasley's bodyguard carrying his gun a problem? Anyway, Tim.
All right, caller. Thank you so much for calling. Amanda, we should be hearing from you for a long time now. You're just there quietly monitoring what is taking place. Let's hear from you in terms of what's happening in the chat room.
Good afternoon, Tim. Good afternoon, NewsSpinners. Tim, a few comments here on NewsSpinner says, so Pierre has to come back to the media to say that he lied about the K9 unit. Mr. God has to come back to say he spoke out of turn. Richard had to come back to drink his vomit on the demolition of the exhibits. What a country. Charlie Chaplin, Bugs Bunny, and Tom and Jerry couldn't give us a better laugh. A commentary reads, Officer Tyson was more valuable and of greater importance than the vehicles he keeps giving to the police. A NewsSpinner says, wait. So the commissioner does not know this? St. Lucia is not a real place in truth. A commentary reads, what really going on in St. Lucia with this Philip Pierre Labour government and the police? My God. Someone says they are trying a fast one on St. Lucians, hoping we Okay, that comment. Another comment here reads, "That's a fairy tale. What was the commissioner in a drunken state at the time of his statement? What the hell is this?" A NewsSpinner says here, "What an embarrassing moment." Another comment reads, "Will the Speaker of the House ask for those statements to be redacted?" A comment here reads, "Protected speech in the House of Parliament should be done away with." Someone says here, "Tim, listen again and tell us where he was creating the impression as opposed to being categorical." Commentary says, "All of a sudden exhibits have resurrected, resurfaced. Who are those crooks trying to fool?" Someone says there, "That is comical now. That is to show you the commissioner is clueless of what is going on around him. Sounds like a Tom and Jerry cartoon." Someone says there, "The speaker had nothing to say then, but has a lot to say now. Wanna be lawyer and judge. The speaker watched too many Perry Mason as a boy." Commentary says, "Tim, why is the speaker so involved? Can you please explain to us what is the role of the speaker?" Commentary says, "Yes, caller, this is a very good observation and we need to treat this very seriously. The powers that be should put measures in place from now on." A commentary says, "I have agreed to cooperate with the police. You don't have a choice but to adhere to the request made by the police." Our commentary says, "Respectfully, Mr. Speaker, you should have stayed away from this and allowed for law to follow its natural course." A commentary says, "Absolutely, we need a defense force. Antigua and Barbuda has a well-established defense force for additional security." A NewsSpinner says the SLP gets so anxious to clear themselves that they are making big mistakes. Why would Claudius come out with that statement before the police releases the video? Now, no matter what the police comes with, we will have no credibility. A commentary says, "This government has compromised the security of the island, both with the police and our ports." A few comments from YouTube. This one is quite funny. It says, "In light of this new revelation of missing evidence, let's hope that Canine Tyson never died and that he was just misplaced by the police." And the commentary says, "Police in St. Lucia should have clearance from the commissioner before entering the evidence room or area." Back to you, Tim.
Thank you so much, Amanda. Let's hear now from the French ambassador to the OECS and Barbados, Francis Etienne. He appeared on a special report program last evening on DBS. He was being interviewed by Lisa Joseph, and he spoke about Tyson.
Would you, your government, would you want to see something very decisive coming out of the investigations into the death of Canine Tyson?
Oh, I have no doubt that we will have the results, but police has a need to work on this. And we are not impatient, but we are waiting for the results, as anyone would do when something painful happened, and when it's more than a tool. We're talking about something alive, a living force.
Yes, and it came at a cost for the taxpayers.
It came at quite a high cost. But again, if our friends here in St. Lucia esteem this is necessary, we'll follow on.
The French ambassador to the OECS and Barbados, Etienne, that would be Francis Etienne, speaking with DBS's Lisa Joseph during a special report program last evening. We continue with your calls and your WhatsApp messages. Once again, 452-2979, 452-2979. WhatsApp calls and messages, 716-2026. You have a call. Good afternoon to you. You are on the air. Hello.
I'm here, Tim.
Good afternoon to Rick.
You know, I'm not a betting guy, but I'm prepared to bet you, Tim, that even as we speak, there are people on Facebook accusing Leonard Montoute of being involved in kidnapping, accusing Richard Montoute of bailing out a kidnapper, quote unquote, accusing him of losing his temper with a guy at a bar. And as far as Herman Gilfrance is concerned, I am betting you while we're talking now.
They say he's a traitor. He's a traitor.
Pardon me?
I had to steal your thunder. They would say he's a traitor.
No, they won't say he's a traitor. They will say a lot worse than that. A lot worse. That is the reaction. And that is an insult to all the so-called intelligent people of the country. Let me rephrase. That should be an insult to all right-thinking people in the country, all intelligent people in the country, all who claim to have the interests of the country at heart. That's why they sacrifice this and whatnot. It is also dancing on the graves of people who tried and died trying to make St. Lucia a decent place. Derek Walcott, Derek Walcott's brother, George Odlum, John Compton, George Charles. What I just suggested to you is going on right now is dancing on those people's graves. As a matter of fact, they'll be cussing them to distract. But you know, Tim, we don't learn. Herman Gill put down some stuff there, and the chilling effect prevented you from allowing him to say more. But Herman Gill, his police officer of high ranking was. Herman Gill has legal training, thanks to Kenny Anthony, who sent him to university to be a lawyer. He's all of those things. You would think that Herman Gill knows better than to say anything about one of our government ministers, about whom, by the way, we are free to say almost anything. We are free to criticize our government almost as hard as you can imagine. But it is not criticizing our government ministers in their performance. If you talk about how they, what can I think? They don't look good. They have a big belly. Those things are not what I'm talking about. We have a right to expect our members of parliament, the people who represent us, the people we hire to put in parliament, in the most sacrosanct house in the country. We have a right to expect behavior. It doesn't mean we're going to get it because we are all fallible. But we have a right to expect the greatest behavior from these guys. You with me?
Yes.
I am not saying that these people...
Because it's not any unsophisticated, unlearned person, somebody who is not cerebral, who enters or ought to enter the parliament to serve either as an elected MP or an selected MP or endorsed MP, etc.
We don't elect those guys to work miracles. We don't elect them thinking they are St. John and St. Paul and that whatnot. We know, at the very least, the people we elect, we expect them to be regular people. And regular people have their sins. Regular people have their behaviors. I have mine. And that's one of the reasons I have never wanted to go into politics, because I want to be free to misbehave as badly as I want. That's one of the reasons I have never even thought about getting into politics, except in what I do. But those other people, I can tell you, they're waiting even as we speak. They are writing Maypui about Montoute, about Montout's wife, about who Montoute may have done anything with. That is in response to those indictments that Montoute has put down there. That is in response to the indictments that Herman Gill put there. And let me tell you, it is not the first. We've been tolerating this garbage for too long, and now we've become the garbage ourselves. Back in the 79, the Speaker of the House had to run out for fear of his life in 79. An MP in Parliament asked another MP was criticizing him to shut up, and you will have to pardon me to quote the MP because it's in Hansard. Shut up. because I'm going to shoot from the hip and make shit come out of your mouth. Beautiful parliamentary language. Shut up, or I'm going to shoot from the hip and make shit come out of your mouth. That is in 1982 by a member of parliament. So much so that the speaker, after that, demanded that all of the guys with guns check them in with the sergeant at arms. So that suggestion has been made before. Claudius Francis, the Speaker of the House, I hate when I'm talking to call his name on that. The current Speaker of the House has himself made it well known, one of the best known facts of life in this country, that he carries a gun. Am I right or wrong?
Why you need my assistance in that regard, Rick?
Because I don't think you're a coward.
No.
And you know very well.
People,
he has up.
People are giving credence to what you are saying. Carry on, sir.
Okay. He has said many times that he carries a gun. He has said many times that he carries a gun on the seat of his car. He has said many times that anyone mess with him, he will kill them. And he has recently demonstrated that same violent streak by saying whether you're a dwarf or a boy, he's not using any catapult on you. Once you cross his party, it's the bazooka he's coming out with. So he is well known by his own tongue to be a guy who's carrying a gun and will not be slow in using it if he sees fit. Joachim got pretty famous for packing his gun even in a church, which he's supposed to do. You're not supposed to leave your gun behind. So he was in church, and the rumors are that he had his gun, which would not be against the law because the law requires you to carry your gun wherever you're going. But in the act, I have checked, by the way, neither the Congress of the United States nor Parliament permits arms, permits in Congress arms, guns, and so on. Neither Parliament nor the U.S. Congress. And that is statute, law. You with me?
Yeah.
I put it to you, there are at least 5 guys that we know carry licensed firearms into a house that on any occasion.
But Rick, you can't blame them. Maybe it's the speaker who has to revisit this practice and
but the speaker is packing himself.
Clearly stipulate that you ought not to be armed.
The speaker is packing himself. And I gave you the instance of another speaker who had occasion to ask parliamentarians to hand their guns over to the sergeant at arms before they enter the chamber. So the speaker knows damn well that you're not supposed to have guns in the chamber. We have no law saying it's all right to do that, and we know what the experiences we've had. So the speaker should himself hand his gun over to the sergeant at arms, require the opposition members, if they have guns, to hand it over, require everybody to hand their guns over, especially in our parliament, which never ends except on a note of war and people calling each other all kinds of names and the worst.
So you're saying this should be done because they have sufficient security within the precincts of the parliament and within the parliament itself, the chambers?
Tim, that's an interesting question because the security we have with the sergeant, with the police who are in there and so on.
Mm-hmm.
One would have thought the security is there to protect the parliamentarians in case some nutcase comes into the house.
Right. So you don't need it. You don't need to be personally
No,
armed.
what I am saying is the people need protection from their goddamn ministers. Because people who are going to watch there too are in the line of fire, and their ministers have shown a propensity for violence in their talk and are all packing guns. Some of them have even been told in court that they're out of control and need therapy. They cannot control themselves. That has been said to at least one minister I know and reported. That is the situation we have. So all of those people, opposition and government, should be forced to hand their guns over to the sergeant at arms for the safety of people regular people, as well as for their own safety. Michael Pilgrim was the guy who threatened to pull his gun. Okay. Now let's get back to this horror of the evidence. I don't know where to start with that. Now, according to the report, it came from a police source. That's what the report says, right?
Yes.
Okay. And no police person has called so far to counter that very important matter, right?
You need not convene a press conference. Just issue a statement. Quickly, issue a statement on this.
No, Tim. I would have thought it would be so reassuring to hear a proper person call.
Mm-hmm.
I am Sergeant so-and-so. I am Commissioner so-and-so. I am the Minister of so-and-so. And call.
No, but even before NewsSpin came on the air at 12:30, we should have heard from.
I don't know when they knew.
What I'm saying, I'm just saying, hold on, Rick. I'm just saying, even before that, as soon as this made the news, the police should have reacted because they would have been aware of this particular situation.
No, what I am saying to you is, I don't know when the police were aware, but they certainly were aware when you announced it.
They ought to be aware from before, Rick. That's what I'm saying. Social media, 2025.
All right, I agree. Okay, I agree with that. So, here's what we now have. We have a case of a woman who was killed, and if only for the fact that her husband is a police officer, it becomes a matter involving the police. Correct?
Yes.
I'm not accusing anybody of saying. I'm saying by the mere fact that he's a husband. Secondly, the police initially named him as a person of interest. That, I hear, is a matter of slander or libel pending before the courts. Think about that. Okay. The one with Shakadan, police again. So, Tim, let us say they have found, and the minister, the minister said he has been instructed, and I'm going to suggest to you that it's not Brown who would have gone to the minister who is a lawyer and give him that information, and the minister would go and regurgitate what Brown told him in the House. I'm going to presume that whoever instructed him was of a high enough rank and authority that he would want to quote him in our parliament, a matter so serious. So we will want to know where that came from. There's also the matter of contamination. A woman was murdered. A guy who the police said committed suicide. It turned out, what had an inquest or whatever it was, that this could not have been suicide and just being treated as a murder. Correct?
Yes.
Good. So, the evidence connected to these people that went out of sight for how long, because we are being told the evidence disappeared in 2019, Tim, haven't we?
Which evidence?
Boy, I don't know which evidence, the missing evidence.
No. There's not been a clear date as to when the evidence went missing.
Well, Tim, I assure you that I have heard, in fact, there was even an attempt, well, let's not even go there, but it's all over the place that this evidence didn't disappear yesterday, that it's been missing quite a while. I don't know how people know it. I'm saying that is in the public domain. That's what I'm talking about. So when you come to court with the public having those kind of notions in their heads, the public bearing in mind what the minister said in the House, the public understanding now what the commissioner said was off and how he came to say that, and now it was in view forth. Is it possible all of that was orchestrated? Is it possible, considering the people who are involved in the case? Is it possible that the evidence has been contaminated? Will the DPP have the nerve to come before a court with that kind of evidence that has been everywhere? And will whoever is defending, the lawyer on the other side, is he going to have a ball with us? All of those things, Tim, we have been warned about over and over and over. Loose lips sink ships. We should also have heard from the DPP by now. And not even so much the Prime Minister. Let me make a clear point on that. Because if it's done properly, the person to make the announcement is the DPP, the judiciary. The Prime Minister may have something to say on it after the DPP. But there's a separation of the executive. Let's not forget that. A separation of the executive from the judiciary. That is not to say the Prime Minister puts people first, may not have something to say, but he has to be very careful what he says and how he says it because of the separation of the executive and the judiciary. Am I clear on that?
Yes, you're correct. One more minute, Rick.
Okay.
One more minute.
I'm done.
You done? Okay, all right. Thank you so much. 452-2979, WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026. This is the most monitored talk show in the world. We take a commercial break. When we come back, we have the NewsSpin news of the day, as well as the NewsSpin question of the day, and a whole lot more. Please stay with us.
We're just finished dinner, and before we all head off, let's do something very important. Let's go over our hurricane prep list. We need food, water, medicine, important documents. What else? Right, the generator. This year, I'm not taking any chances. I'm getting ours from Europa Hardware in Massad Grocery. Best prices around, and believe me, I don't want to hear, "Daddy, the Wi-Fi's down," when the power's out. Keep your family comfortable. Get your generator at Europa Hardware. Call us today at 452-0763. Europa Hardware, located in Massad Grocery. We service what we sell.
Lucelec wishes to advise customers and the public that its customer service office at the Carolic building in San Souci remains closed to facilitate urgent maintenance. The Lucelec Rodney Bay and Vieux-Fort offices are open to serve customers, and the kiosk in the Blue Coral Mall is available for all services except payments. Customers who wish to make payments during this closure are encouraged to access the My Account service at myaccount.lucelec.com. Show pays online and walk-in service options, or participating financial institutions. Payments made via SurePay and My Account Direct on weekdays from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. will be processed to customer accounts the same day. Payments made after 4 p.m. will be processed the next business day. For account balances, please dial the automated account inquiry service line at 457-4433. Customers can access other Lucelec services by using the virtual service desk at lucelec.com. The management of Lucelec deeply regrets any inconvenience caused by this closure and thanks its valued customers for their patience and understanding.
Tired of sky-high bills and a planet on the brink? It's time to go green without burning your pockets. At First National Bank, we are here to make saving the planet affordable. Whether you're installing solar panels, purchasing a water tank, upgrading to an inverter AC, or buying a hybrid vehicle, we've got the green to help you go green. Fast approval, low interest rates, and Mother Nature approved. Your future self will thank you. Visit firstnationalbankonline.com or call 455-7000 for more information to help you turn your green dreams into clean realities. First National Bank, here for you.
It's in the feeling in our we talk. It's in the meaning in our spot. It is the thing that sets us apart. Who we are, 'cause the rhythm of life keeps pumping. Together going strong, no matter what, we keep things flowing. Before we will go all in, our hands up in the sky, celebrating
You know that feeling when you have an uncontrollable desire for fried chicken? That's the KFC. A substance that stimulates your senses to identify the aroma of a secret recipe or an extra crispy crunch from any distance. It's invisible to the naked eye, but you can feel it traveling throughout your body, taking control. All so you can enjoy a juicy bite of KFC. Ignite your senses with KFC.
Have you had a stroke or symptoms like numbness, headaches, or back pain? When your body sends a warning, don't wait. MRI is the gold standard for seeing what other imaging can miss, like brain damage, spine issues, and early cancer. At La Clinique de Corps, we are the only center in St. Lucia offering the most advanced MRI technology. Fast, radiation-free, expertly interpreted, and insurance accepted. Call 451-6559 or WhatsApp 721-9950. La Clinique de Corps, Center of Excellence, where quality meets expertise.
In the blink of an eye, disaster can strike. Are you ready? When the winds rage and the rain pours, will you be prepared? Don't let the next hurricane catch you off guard. At MNC Home Depot and Sunbelt, we understand the importance of preparation. From generators to plywood, we have everything you need to weather the storm. Don't wait until it's too late. Visit MNC Home Depot and Sunbelt today and make sure your family is safe and secure this hurricane season. Play it safe. Get prepared.
Yes. That was St. Lucia Top 5 for Carnival 2025. Yes. Welcome back to Real Men Take Charge, guys. Real Men Check Up.
To all my listeners out there, visit a men's health clinic in your area today.
PSA checkups are now free.
It's private, it's quick, it's efficient, and convenient.
Music touches the soul, but health keeps the rhythm going. Fellas, it's time to check your PSA levels. It's free, it's simple, it can save your life.
Brothers, do you not know that your bodies are the temples of the Holy Spirit? Let us be wise stewards of our lives. Prostate test saves lives. Let us not wait until it is too late.
To be a champion, you need to show up for yourself. I'm encouraging every man to take the step. Get checked. Stay strong. Do it for the team. Do it for your family.
My daddy is a hero, and I want him around for a very long time. Daddy, if you care about me, please take care of your health.
I faced colon and prostate cancer head on, and I'm still standing. Early detection saved my life. If I can do it, so can you. Don't wait.
Real men.
Real men.
Real men take charge.
Real men check up.
The Republic Bank CPL is here, and the biggest party in sport just got bigger. This August, all roads lead to Darren Sammy Cricket Ground as the St. Lucia Kings light up the island with 5 explosive home games from August 23rd to 31st. Every six, every wicket, every roar from the crowd is a shot of pure Caribbean adrenaline. So grab your tickets now at cplt20.com or at your local box office. It's time to turn up for the biggest party in sport.
This is an extended edition of the world's most monitored talk show. That's NewsSpin on Power 97.9 FM. The broadcast is also on the NewsSpin Facebook page as well as the NewsSpin YouTube channel. We end at 2:30 this afternoon. Let me turn my attention to you, Amanda. Let's find out what is happening in the chat room.
Tim, a few comments from earlier NewsSpinner says Richard Frederick's behavior is typical St. Lucian behavior. That's why he is so popular. I behaved like that before I came to live in the UK. Over here, that type of behavior would question your mental health status because the population do not behave like that. Let us not be hypocritical, but look at ourselves and question our norms and values. A commentary reads, Richard Frederick is only one man. What should be more concerning and troubling is an entire system and a support mechanism that seems to have a consensus with the questionable values of the minister. A News Spinner says here, what upsets me about the opposition is that they will talk about it's time for action, and yet they refuse to take action. The opposition has the option of sending the impacts report to the International Criminal Court, ICC, but they are refusing to take that step. So the question is, why are they afraid to take action? Another comment here reads, I will say it again, the police force needs to be headed by an international commissioner. The police force needs to be cleansed. The police force looks like a puppet on barbed wire. Someone says here, please, Prime Minister, please dissolve the House and call elections immediately. The world is laughing at us. A commentator reads, Team, are you aware that Derek Walcott's son passed away? A News Spinner says, Rick, this is the level of intelligence of some educated people who use their influence to deceive. A commentator says, there are certain rules here in the U.S. I can't bring my firearm to any school, public park, federal or state building. A commentator reads, at this point, I do not know which is more dangerous, Richard's gun or his untruths. A commentary from Peter Chico reads, Team, today is debunk day. If I recall, the Prime Minister said he never disbanded the K9 units. Here is the information to debunk it. On September 9th, 2021, just 2 weeks after the July 26, 2021 election, after a meeting with the Attorney General, he requested that a letter be written to SLASPA to inform them that the K9 units will continue to be used at the ports under the customs laws. That letter will be made a document of NewsSpin, So that letter was written because the unit was actually functioning when he became Prime Minister. He is not telling the truth when he said there was no units and he did not disband it. The Attorney General did inform me at the meeting that he was interested in keeping the units. Another commentator reads, by the time they flood the zone with the Healy pushing story, most will forget about the GPH deal and the whole lie about the lost exhibits. And a few comments here from NewsSpin. Okay, I read that already.
Thank you so much, Amanda. Somebody says that there's a message on a Facebook page. Messier, call elections immediately. I don't have capacity to tolerate this sudden deluge of foolishness. 452-2979. We have a call on the landline. Let's take that call. Good afternoon to you. You are on the air.
Good afternoon, team.
Hi, good afternoon, Mr. Guy Joseph.
It's been
a
while.
Yes, it's been a while.
I have not been able to get through on NewsSpin, but I'm happy to get through.
Well, I suspect it's because of the eve of your Sabbath. Go ahead, sir.
Tim, there's so much going on. I mean, we have to ask ourselves, what is going on? Doesn't our police force have enough issues to deal with in terms of the crime situation and solving the murders? I am puzzled, Tim. I am very, very puzzled that the commissioner would make a statement. I don't want to think that the commissioner was careless or reckless in making a statement about missing evidence. How did this evidence resurface? How do we know that this is even the evidence that was initially collected? How do we, Tim, you know about the counterfeit currency when actual currency was collected?
Yeah.
We know about when drugs was collected, and then afterwards it was flour or soap powder. Are these not stories that we are familiar with in St. Lucia? And then there's nobody in charge, team. That is the problem that we have. Whether they call him commissioner or officer in charge, I am a bit lost as to how to begin to interpret what is happening in our country. The government appears to have lost total control. You know, Tim, there may be a time when people temporarily lose control. Maybe you drive in a vehicle and you get a skid, but you are able to maneuver yourself and come back to having your vehicle under your control. But the country is running in a direction where it appears that nobody is in charge. I heard Herman Gill and the comments that he made. I heard the comments about the House and the firearms. I think one of the reasons why Officer Kaliam was the request for his removal or labor, or call it wrong, whether it's Richard or Guy or Alan or Pierre, anybody, if something is wrong, Tim, it is wrong. And I am sorry for where we are heading. And many of us in St. Lucia want to bury our heads in the sand and pretend that it is not so. So for the people that Rick referenced and yourself who are writing on social media about Spider's past or issues he may have been involved in, are they writing about Richard Frederick? Are they saying about the things that he has done and he has been involved in and what he has been cited for? Tim, St. Lucia belongs to all of us. We've had that escalation of crime. We've not heard from our Prime Minister. Now, I want to ask you this, Tim. You don't have to answer me, but for the sake of your listeners. The Prime Minister said he was not a police officer, so he couldn't deal with the crime situation. Am I to insinuate that that's what he was saying, Tim? From your own understanding.
I think that's clear. I think that's clear. That's what he's saying.
So he said his father was a police officer. Was he in essence telling us that Richard Frederick was a police officer? So he will allow Richard Frederick to handle the police and deal with the crime situation because Richard is a minister in his ministry. He gave Jeremiah, who was a police officer himself, the Ministry of Crime Prevention. So now we have two former police officers it appears to me to be the crime fighters in this country or the crime facilitators. I don't know which one, because I'm not seeing them preventing any crime. Because if the Prime Minister made a pronouncement on the basis that he is not a police officer and his father was, I would assume, or I am left to conclude, that he may have inadvertently made Richard Frederick the minister responsible for the police. Because it seemed to me that Richard Frederick has more information from the police than the Prime Minister. Now, Tim, I have acted as Prime Minister. And every Monday morning before Cabinet, the Commissioner, his deputies, or the officers in charge, based on the activities of the week, would come and update the Prime Minister of the happenings, the crime situation is going on. I would love to know whether this is going on. If it is still going on, are the police reporting to Richard Frederick rather than Philip J. Pierre? Because it seemed to me that Richard Frederick has more information than the Prime Minister. Because everything you ask the Prime Minister, he doesn't know. And the last comment I'll make to him, I want St. Lucians to stop for a moment and think of it. Did Philip J. Pierre say he did not disband the K9 unit? Did he really say that, Tim?
But you know the answer to that question, Mr. Joseph. You do.
No, but Tim, I don't want to believe a Prime Minister can say something like that and get away with it. So I have to believe that maybe he did the wrong thing. Because there was a K9 unit. There was so much said about this K9 unit and what it was costing the country. Tim, I will disclose that information. It's not libelous, so you don't have to worry. My information, and I'm asking the office of the Prime Minister, who is the Minister of Finance, the Minister of National Security, and the customs would be under his purview. Is it true that there's been a scanner there for months but has not been commissioned? The box has not even been opened for it to be utilized. And if that is the case, why? Because the Prime Minister said that they told him he didn't need a K9 unit and he didn't need Tyson and the scanners at the same time. I'm paraphrasing, but it would be words to that effect that he used. My information, Tim, is that there is a scanner. Now, I cannot verify because I wanted the picture to actually show it. But then they could tell me I took a picture anywhere and just send it. So I'm asking the government, is it true that there is a scanner, a brand new scanner, but they have refused to commission it or to use it? And if that is the case, why? Is it because the government is still in the business of facilitating illegal firearms coming into the country? I thank you, Tim.
All right, thank you so much for calling. Some more of your calls, Tim. I would like to know where is Blue Boy, the crane, and if it was sold, how much it was sold for, and who purchased it. WhatsApp message. Let's see if we have another WhatsApp message. Let's see there. Somebody says there via WhatsApp. Good afternoon. If my memory serves me good, I can recall our present Speaker of the House once needed protection from Richard Frederick when he was a United Workers' Party minister. It is crazy to see Richard Frederick sitting in the House with his gun on his side. A man on how many occasions? Okay, right. Let's see if we get another WhatsApp message. Somebody says there via WhatsApp, Tim, the Prime Minister once referred himself as a little black boy. I hope he has realized by now that the offices that he is presently holding is done for boys. If only PJP vaguely understands the seriousness of his responsibility as Prime Minister and the degree to which he has failed, he would have stepped aside a long time. Mr. Prime Minister, please do not prolong the anguish and pain of the nation. Please call the election. Another one says via WhatsApp, the only school attendance officer in the Ministry of Education, a public servant, has been openly campaigning for the SLP on social media. Let's hope that with the opening of school next week, he will be sufficiently engaged with ensuring that our vulnerable children return to school rather than protecting the victory. And another WhatsApp message, somebody says there, Herman Gill Francis is absolutely right about members of Parliament being disarmed when entering the Chamber of Parliament to discuss or debate the issues of the country, especially taking into consideration the personality of some of the MPs. And the person goes on to say that some MPs should be kept out of St. Lucia's politics. Any WhatsApp message from you, Amanda? Not WhatsApp message, but discussions in the chat room. Sorry.
Just a few from earlier. NewsSpin says Richard Frederick's behavior. Okay, I read that already. Let's get the updated version. Right, okay. A comment here reads, this revelation of lost exhibits by the commissioner was a setup to enable Richard's pronouncements in the House about the reckless manner in which the previous government handled the custody suites demolition. A NewsSpinner says here, I'm starting to think that the commissioner is playing a game with the citizens. He probably said the evidence was lost initially and now resurfaced with the final goal of saying the evidence is now inadmissible because it has been tampered with. A commentary reads, well, Tim, the matters where the evidence disappeared will never go through since the defense counsel will make a submission of contamination since the chain of custody is in question. Oh, what a web of lies we spin. Someone says that the Labour Party is trying to make St. Lucians believe that they are mad at Chasney for the demolition of custody suites, while they are the ones who profited from it. A commentary reads, Richard will never allow the opportunity to spew a good lie go to waste. A NewsSpinner says if the Prime Minister does not answer questions because his answer will be that is not your business. Back to you, Tim.
Thank you so much. We have a call on the line. Good afternoon to you. This is NewsSpin. You're on the air.
Good afternoon, Tim.
Hi, good afternoon to you, caller.
And Amanda.
Good afternoon, caller.
This is really a talk show because everybody just talks.
And you're about to do the same. Go ahead.
Exactly. I commend Mr. Rick Wayne because he always gives us educational information. But Tim, in all of the calls, even some calls by high office people or previous high office people, I will start first. I want to congratulate the police, the Royal St. Lucia Police Force, for at least giving us their reports on things that they have accomplished. Nobody is commending them for the last drug bust and everything that everybody is going on talking about the things and throwing things back and forth at people. We have to start. I used to say a long time ago we couldn't compare our country with the big countries. I no longer think that. I think we have to start by taking some patterns from these other countries because these countries didn't always take these patterns. They grew. And if we don't start at least observing and following them, we ain't growing and we won't be going anywhere. I remember sitting in my car in another country and I had spilled coffee on myself. And I cleaned myself up and I put on my left indicator to pull out, and before I could move, lights were flashing behind me. And the speaker came out and said, don't move. And the officer came to my window and said, what's the problem? What is your business here? And I explained to him what happened. He says, okay, you remain right where you are. He went back to his car. I guess he ran my plate and everything to see if my vehicle might have been stolen or whatever. And I guess he could have done that before, but since he saw I was about to move out, I guess he just had to stop me from moving before he went back to verify. And I think that thing should be practiced here, where the police will pass and see people just hanging around the place. Some of them are there and they don't live where they're hanging out, What is your business here? If they can't give a good answer, then they need to move along, because that is how the loitering leads into other things. And the criminals who would know where certain people's loiter or where they are will pass and do their drive-bys and all. It'll protect their lives. It'll cause the criminals to desist or not knowing where they are, or may have to go to their homes to get them, but at least there would be some trail. But the police have to be given a little more authority. I know there'll be human rights people coming on to say, well, they have the right to this and the right to that, but this is what happens in other countries. You cannot just park somewhere and relax and play your music. You cannot just sit on a wall that sometimes doesn't concern you. That wall, there are people who don't want people loitering around their place, and they can't tell them anything because they will curse them and stuff like that. But the police will pass and tell you, what's your business here? And if you can't give them a legitimate reason for you hanging around there, you have to move along.
I mean, without appearing as like a nuisance, I mean, the police, they have to ensure that they are proactive. I mean, if you see people are gathering in certain spots and so on, do some community policing, interact with them and so on. Maybe that could serve as a deterrent. Maybe you could prevent a serious crime from occurring. But just to ignore those things when they happen, that is why, I mean, sometimes hours later, you have a situation where people are firing indiscriminately, injuring people, claiming lives and so on. The police have to be more proactive than they are right now.
Well,
so I agree with you.
That's what I'm saying. That's part of the proactiveness. I was taken down once because I was there and I had nothing on me, no marijuana, nothing. And because I was part of it, I had to go. I eventually was not kept, but the thing is, these are the things that cause the perpetration. People hang around, they're looking at homes, they're looking at people who pass, they're looking at the cars that pass. These people are smart. They take license numbers, they know when they see that car where it lives, where it parks, and these people have no business just hanging around doing nothing. So,
but as somebody is saying, you should not be the police should not be harassing people, because the person says that.
No.
Caller, you want the police to start harassing people?
No. You see where you go already? You see where you go? See that?
No, that's a comment in the chat room.
Oh, no, because, but what is the job of the police? If it has some weird hour in the morning, you see, they don't have police patrolling, then we complain. We need more police presence. But when the police is present and they see things like that at that hour in the morning, you're just there hanging around doing nothing, and you have no excuse for your doing nothing. You're going to find something to do at that hour in the morning if you see the chance to do it. So I'm not saying the police is to harass people. I'm saying that isn't that part of a job of policing? Isn't that what policing or part of policing is about? To protect, and that is why we're always saying about the government mandate is to protect the people. How will they use it? Will Mr. Pierre come out of his house and look to go and protect me? No, he's the police. He has to use the various departments given to him, and that's how it happens. That's why the army functions properly. There's a sergeant, there's a corporal, there's a whatever the ranks are. So how does the police police? How do we expect them to do it? They just have a name and a uniform, and when we see them, we smile at them. They are supposed to serve and protect us, but we don't want to allow them to do that. We believe it's harassment. Now, I do agree the approach of police can be not warranted. I mean, the way some of them, because of the training or something like that. But Tim, before I go, there's one more thing I want to talk about. Just one more. I know your time is almost up, and mine is. I would like to know if the people who are teaching auto the driving schools,
driving instructors,
yes, if they have a qualified certificate, if that's required, because I'm an instructor, but not here, okay. And one of the things I've noticed when I teach, I will not put you on a 60-kilometer road to drive at 20. There's enough road for me to teach you and get you used to that speed, because that's the speed you're going to eventually drive on. Now, 60 is not the minimum. 60 is the maximum. You don't have to drive at 60. You can drive at 50, 55. 60 is just the maximum, but people think it's the minimum, so they drive up there, then they drive above that, then when they slow, they come down to 60. But I want to know if there is, if somebody can verify, or I guess there's some place I can go, if there is a requirement to be an instructor here. And if these people that are teaching on the roads are actually, licensed, certified instructors, because I don't see how you can teach someone on a 60-kilometer road to drive at 20 and 15.
Okay. Hope we could get a response for this for next week. Thank you so much. Now, we cannot conclude the broadcast without addressing a particular matter that we have been focusing on for an eternity now. And there was this incident which occurred earlier today, and on all scores, very, very sad. Apparently, a vehicle crashed into a cow, or either the cow crashed into the vehicle on our busy highway, the Castries to Grosdale highway, earlier on today. And we could have seen the cow writhing in pain because apparently its hind legs were broken and the vehicle damaged. Let's just listen. I know a lot of you are watching, but let's just listen and also watch at the same time this clip that we'll share with you. And then we could take a few more calls on it because we have spoken about it for an eternity. And we'll be hearing from the Agriculture Minister as well, reminding you of what he said just a few weeks ago. But let's listen and watch this clip.
Just this morning, I got a call from an individual who was driving down the northern part into Castries. And really and truly, I want to make the statement, and I want to be bold to say that the government is not responsible for ensuring that residents are safe from our roads. A farmer who is a cattle owner, who is a livestock owner, it's his responsibility to ensure that his cattle does not move away from the pasture areas onto the road. But we know there have been many, many incidents in the past. And why would someone want somebody to lose his or her life driving to his home because of somebody's problem or cattle? But we've had a discussion, we've been having a discussion on the matter at the cabinet level. There is a constituency which is the constituency of Castries North. That is where the problem is very, very, very visible. And just last week, we were able to identify an area of land in Viewfort, I think they call it Kokodan. And we are working with the cattle owners in this area. We had a meeting with a few of them already, and they have agreed to move their animals to the south to make this problem a thing of the past. I mean, it is just not a nice sight when you drive up and you get to Marcy and you see all those animals on the side of the road with sometimes an intention to just cross the road. I mean, this is life and property. This is risk that our persons take, and I do not think that they have to go through this. And I'm calling on all those cattle owners to find a way, find a mechanism to at least put a fence around your pasture to avoid those animals going onto the road and posing a risk to person's life and property.
Agriculture Minister Alfred Prosper, so painful to watch what happened to this cow earlier today and what happened to the vehicle of this motorist as well. And yet still we're hearing from the authorities that they're not responsible for what happens on the roads with regard to stray animal. And you, the motorist, crashing into a cow. Now, I was about to say not until somebody perishes that the authorities will want to act, but this has happened before. A few decades ago, a motorcyclist crashed into a cow and got killed. The motorcyclist got killed. I'm in a good mood. So let's take some more calls on this. 452-2979, WhatsApp calls and messages, 716-2026, 452-2979, 716-2026. Creating a bit of history on the most monitored talk show in the world. Let's take a call on the line. Good afternoon. You're on the air.
Tim.
Good afternoon to you, caller.
Good afternoon. I'm calling from experience. A few years ago, Tim, I was driving that same place the guy got hit with that cow. It looked like a male and a female. One was running after the other. It came from the Mega J area, went and it hit my fin. It hit the side of my car. I was driving a green Jeep Cherokee. Called the police for everything. You know what I did the next morning? I know I wouldn't get an owner or anybody. I went to the police. The police told me if I can identify the cow. Next morning I went there very early. Very early with my uncle. He came with his van. We saw the cow because the cow had a gash right by its right on the side, in the middle of the cow, right on the side. We took the cow, brought it to the police station. They held the cow there for 24 hours. 48 hours, nobody claimed it. We came back and we took that cow. So that cow, we put it on my uncle's plantation at cul-de-sac. So now, not even knowing that cow was pregnant.
Wow.
About 2-3 years later, we had about 4 cows. Now it was on a plantation.
Okay.
That one Christmas came, the cows were butchered here. We made some money. Yeah, my uncle shared it with me. Okay, but the thing about it is, it could have caused my life.
Yeah.
And to have the minister Stabat say that the government is not responsible for your safety on the road, I cannot understand a minister saying something like that. And further, talking about asking people, those who have cows, to put their fences and what next to their home. The people who own cows, they do not have estates. To own so many cows, you should have an estate. You should have a pasture of your own. And I think the government is, over both administrations, a whole lot of noise was being made. Take the cows off the roads. We have seen the accidents. And I saw the one this morning, I saw the one this morning. We have seen so many of those accidents. It's time now that these people who own those cows, and I understood there are only two people who own those cows, two different owners. It's time that these people are stopped. Something must be done. I for one, to tell you the truth, if I have a licensed firearm and I see a cow running on the road, the police, at this point in time, the police, the government should give any person with a licensed firearm wants to get that cow on the road, you can shoot properly, put the cow down. Because it's going to cost you your life.
Yeah.
It can cost you your life.
It is very dangerous.
Every day.
It is very dangerous.
Yeah, or the police themselves patrol the road. Once a cow is on the road, put it down. Put it down. The police themselves can have meat to feed the prisoners. Put it down. Simple. If they don't want to take all the cows from the road, put them down. Good afternoon, Tim.
Same to you, sir. Let's take another call this time via WhatsApp. Hello and good afternoon to you. This is NewsSpin. You are on the air. You've had your fair experiences with cattle grazing close to your home, in your yard.
Good evening, good afternoon, Timothy. I know that would be your preamble.
Mr. Ellis, good afternoon to you, sir.
But Timothy, good afternoon, Timothy, and good afternoon, Amanda.
Good afternoon, caller.
Timothy, is so sad what is happening in St. Lucia. And my whole take on this is that if the government, or if we cannot solve the little things that happens in this country, we cannot stop the big things. That's my take on this. But the sad thing is about the police will tell you, if you have your lights not working on your car, it endangers drivers. They will give you a ticket. If you don't wear your seatbelt for your own safety, they will charge you $250. And I've had tickets at $250 for not wearing a seatbelt. If you have a truck and you carry in material like stone, sand, and you don't cover it, it will endanger other drivers. So they will give you a ticket for that. And now the government is going to tell you through the mouth of the Minister of Agriculture that the government is not responsible for the cows on the road. I cannot believe any sensible individual as a minister of government talking that BS. It's straight BS, because he has the law in his hands. There's fidel larceny. There are all these things for people breaking the law. So how can he come and say that nonsense? That is utter nonsense. People's lives at stake, people's properties at stake on the road. Up to a few nights ago at 12:20 in the morning, outside my house, walking the road of Sunny Acres, they were walking down the highway past American Drywall. They were up Summersdale. And the law, and I had to sit down with the police at Chesterfield. I had to sit down with the police. You know what they said to me? If the cows come into my property, I have to make sure, give them water. Yeah. I have to feed them properly. I cannot hurt them. I cannot do anything with them. I cannot do anything with them but call the owner. You know? And I spoke to this fella Clinton, and I don't know who else owns cows. But for you to tell me in this year, 2025, a minister of government is going to say you have no control, so he doesn't give the police any advice to anybody about cows? This is ridiculous. This is utterly ridiculous. Who's going to pay that guy for his vehicle if it's not comprehensively insured? Who's going to pay for the vehicle?
But you saw,
thank God nobody
but
got killed again.
Recently, a cow crashed into a minibus, I think somewhere at Bexon.
Yes, that's right. Who's going to pay for that if you don't have comprehensive insurance? And you mean to tell me we cannot solve these little things, but we want to stop crime? We have to be able to solve these little things first. So any government who talks that BS, and I don't want to call the word like Rick Wayne, because Rick Wayne will say bullshit. But what I'm saying, something have to be done. So a minister cannot come out and say that's nonsense and say that the government has no control over that. Thank you, Tim.
You're welcome, sir. Via WhatsApp, somebody says this. So, Tim, if a cow or any animal for that matter breaches the airport fence onto the airport runway, isn't it the government's responsibility or SLASPA to ensure the safety of passengers landing at that airport? Will the government say that it's a farmer's responsibility? 452-2979, your WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026. We are quite generous on the broadcast. We'll conclude at 3 o'clock this afternoon. Let's see if we have a call on the landline. Hello, good afternoon to you. You are on the air.
Yeah, good afternoon, Tim.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon to you, caller.
A few weeks ago, I called you in terms of Coco Boy. You remember when I called you in connection with the accident he had a few months ago?
Yeah. Caller, that matter, I'm told, is being investigated by the police. I don't want to go into it. It's a very sensitive issue, sir. Okay? I don't want to go into it.
What happened?
Do you want to touch something else? No. Do you want to touch something else? I don't want to address that particular issue.
That same individual just 9 days ago.
Do you want to touch something else? This matter is a very sensitive one. The police is investigating.
Well, because we do not really have a government in charge of the state. Everything people do, it going unsolved. The only thing I am asking for this Labour Party government is to dissolve the House and let people go to the polls and choose a government. Because people are suffering. Look at the young children that was making their way to Castries last week Saturday, trying to get their school books. Unfortunate, some of them at the hospital as we speak. There's two dead people among them. And some of the children now fighting for their lives. Tim, I was told one of the young individuals is in ICU. And I feel for that kid that's suffering, they should take that child out of the hospital and fly him to Martinique to see, well, if that life could be saved. I am not calling for his death, but I do not trust the health system in St. Lucia. Tim, I could go on, but anyway,
all right.
Just hope this weekend we could have a safe weekend and not a repeat of what that just happened last week, Tim. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. WhatsApp message, somebody said, Tim, I was told this morning that there are 12 cow owners at Shock. However, Clinton has the most, about 80%. Do you have any comments in the chat room, Amanda?
Yes, Tim, quite a few. A newspaper says, Tim, what's about these 2 fire trucks that cost $36 million? When we the people gonna get someone in authority to come break this down to the nation? This is our taxpayers' monies. We wanna know how it's being spent and who's spending it. A commentary reads, with all the hatred that man possesses, he should not be allowed to carry a firearm, especially where he and his enemies are gathered. A newspaper says the Labour's wants to rejoice because he was forced to pay the bills. The money is not coming out of his pocket, thus our taxes. A commentary reads, Caller, they show no respect for the police. Don't you see how they behave when the police are trying to arrest someone? Someone says, Caller, the police will need to be policed themselves. A commentary reads, it's amazing how team has the skills to make a clueless caller sound intelligent. A newspaper says the police is there to uphold the law, period. Another commentary reads, the cow murdered the car. Commentary says, Macy, our government is not responsible for anything. Someone says I saw that this morning, and man, that was heartbreaking, especially seeing the animals suffer. A commentary reads, the government is not responsible, so what if the public takes the law into their own hands? Then the government will be coming out and making a statement that we shouldn't. The government is elected to serve and protect St. Lucia and the people. A commentary says, I feel sorry for the driver, not the cow or the owner. This has been going on for way too long and something has to be done. A commentary says, how's your judicial system for those victims so they can be compensated? A newspaper says, how can cattle owners in the north secure their cattle in the south? Is this really a solution? A commentary reads, whilst the primary legal responsibility is that of the owner, government agencies through the Ministry of Agriculture is responsible for enforcing laws and removing stray animals from the roads. There should be laws for impounding animals. A few comments from YouTube. Someone says here, we do not want cows in our VA4 town. That is nonsense. Nothing valuable in the south, so cows that look like us? No. Put them by the bay in Castries or Banans Bay. And a commentary from YouTube also reads, Caller, it's an ongoing issue. The government is never responsible. If you can take them home, tie it to your bumper. Back to you, Tim.
All right, that's your final update. Somebody says via WhatsApp, I highly disagree with this caller. A few days ago, I was a victim to police doing their job in the wrong manner. I sat in my car in my home parking lot with my madam. Then, while we were using our phones, we raised our heads to flashlights and guns in the windscreen. I then brought down my window and put my head out to be identified, and we were commanded to come out of the car. We did, and were left alone as they proceeded to head up my street with a full unsuccessful on whatever they were doing. They then passed us back with no regard, not an apology or nothing. People are not dogs. My madam and I could have been shot for panicking in the vehicle if they thought we were trying to pull a weapon. The police for too long have been doing their jobs wrong, no correct training and no public handling skills. These people focus on roadblocks and giving traffic tickets and not solving criminal investigations. This is some real nonsense. Let me turn my attention now to our NewsSpin question of the day. The NewsSpin question of the day reads, what if the exhibits in the De Leon and Shakadan Daniel matter were never missing? Our NewsSpin question of the day. And let us hear from an independent candidate for Castries North, and his name is Marcellus Backsteed. He was recently on a radio program that is on Rev Up, and he was speaking about his desire to become the next MP for Castries North, and he also spoke about the stewardship of the incumbent Stevenson King.
I walked the constituency for almost a year. I was trying to go up with the Labour Party. I wrote the Labour Party, and then I got drowned in the blue wave. And I make no bones about it. It happened. Politics is not a game for the weak. I respect what happened. I stood on principle when they came and they spoke to us, I said, I'm not going to be part of the Blue Wave, but I'll support the Labour Party at the time. And which I did. I spoke on Philip J. Pierre's platform that night. I call it, I lost my virginity on the platform that night, supporting Philip J. Pierre. But I did not believe in the Blue Wave because I saw 4 years of lack of performance. 5 years, sorry.
Lack of performance by the MP
by the MP at the time.
Let me just ask you a quick question. Don't you think maybe sometimes we should, and I want to get your honest opinion on that. Don't you think sometimes we expect too much of the MPs? Don't you think we should cut them a little slack by virtue of the fact that they are overwhelmed? These guys have a lot of responsibilities. And when, sometimes you think maybe, it's like somebody, Tony and Marcellus, who would probably meet me and say to me, Bossman, give me $1. I mean, just an example, right? I say, boy, I have, and he'll say, how you have customer? A little $1 asking for, that kind of thing. Not realizing that there were 20 other people who asked me for $1 as well, right? So when you go up to an MP and you make a request and you say, I'd like this and that done, I'm asking you, where do you think that it is unfair?
I think that's a good point, but from where I stood at the time, I wasn't asking for something. I was bringing something to the table. I was running programs. I was writing grants. I have programs like in terms of getting the finances and everything to fix the field. I wasn't coming empty-handed. So yeah, yeah, you can feel sorry and you can have some level of empathy for politicians because people do ask for a lot of things. I mean, just in the year I walked the constituency, I mean, the amount of gas tanks people just ask you for.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
It's a real thing. But like I said, I came from I look at it from nobody asked you to do this. So if you're gonna, I'm being in that same position. I felt moved to be in politics for whatever reason. If I put out a list of things that I want to do and I cannot do it, I think I need to leave. I think it's a performance job. If you cannot perform, I think you need to leave. I think too many politicians in this day and age just see this as a long-term job, and there's no performance. I mean, I worked in corporate America where everything is performance-based. I work currently in the management training program at Tals Plus. Everything I do is performance-based. Even in a family business, you guys are in business, you understand it's performance from the time you wake up or you don't eat.
You just heard then saw Marcellus Backsteed, and he appeared on Rev Up St. Lucia earlier on this week. Let's say what the incumbent has to say, Mr. Stevenson King. He has been the MP for Castries North forever, it appears. Forever. Let's listen to Mr. King.
Well, I can tell you one thing. There's only one candidate. That's Stevenson King. And in the next election, I will do exactly what I did before and the many decades that I've served with the people of Castries North. Those who are coming forward, they have aspirations. I will continue to do the work that I've done in the constituency. Well, I can tell you one thing. There's only one candidate. That's Stevenson King. And in the next election, I will do exactly what I did before and the many decades that I've served with the people of Castries North. Those who are coming forward, they have aspirations. I will continue to do the work that I've done in the constituency.
The MP for Castries North, you just heard there from Mr. Stevenson King. So you have Mr. Fevrier, Stephen Fevrier of the United West Party, Mr. King of the Blue Wave, so-called independent candidate, and then you have Mr. Marcellus Backsteed. Imagine Rick Wayne still has something to say to the nation. Imagine he's online. Let's see. Rick, imagine you still have something to say, Rick.
Yes, I do. and I thank you for the last second of your much appreciated generosity.
Imagine 2.5 hours of NewsSpin. I'm hungry. 2.5 hours. That's a record, you know. Go ahead.
You have to sacrifice. You have to sacrifice.
Go ahead.
Tim, what was Were there any human casualties in that cow thing?
No, not to my knowledge, no.
All right. Did you see that poor animal there?
I saw it. Painful.
Cows are about the dumbest animals there are. Did you hear the heart-wrenching cries of that animal?
Yeah.
I don't know how anybody can eat beef this week. Did you see the camera on the bone of that thing, the leg broken off?
I saw it, and maybe we'll have to show it again.
I think you have to show that indeed.
So that the authorities will understand what you're facing.
Because we must not allow ourselves to become so inert, so hardened that we can take the cries of a dumb animal like that can't talk. The animal is doing what comes naturally to it, Tim, walking on the road. That is very natural to the animal. It is the irresponsible people. I couldn't believe this guy. Did the agriculture minister actually say it is not the government's responsibility to keep cows off the road?
He actually said that.
I mean, can you believe any minister saying that in any civilized country where especially you have animal groups and whatever? Tim, that is as if we needed that to close the day. That is horrible that we can hear an animal on the road there crying, mournful, and we can see the broken off leg hanging off the animal, and all the guns around, all the guys with their parliamentary arms, licensed firearms. Somebody didn't think to put the cow out of his misery, because that's what's going to happen to the cow anyway. What's going to happen is he's going to get it beachy. Somebody should have put the cow out of his misery, no?
Yes, we hope so.
We have guns everywhere. So one of those licensed firearm guys could have taken care of that. This is so horrible. It puts it's a wrong metaphor, but it puts the icing on the cake of how we have become worse than toilet animals, toilet insects. Nobody's talking about that now, and all that, taking pictures of this. Oh, disgusting. Thank you for getting that off my chest, Tim, because I don't know how I would have spent the weekend with that image stuck inside there and saying nothing. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And thank you for that overtime, Tim. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. My pleasure. And if you wish to, you can monitor and follow the first of 3 elections debate taking place in Jamaica, and it starts tomorrow. I don't know exactly what time, but you could always try to find out. There is the first of 3 debates. It will start tomorrow. That's Jamaica, building up towards the September 3rd general election. And the focus is on social issues. So the focus is on social issues, and it's a 3-person team. The next debate will be on the 26th, and the final debate between the 2 leaders of the main political parties is on the 28th of this month. So the first of 3 debates tomorrow in Jamaica in the run-up to the September 3rd general election. And finally, we have our NewsSpin News of the Day. The NewsSpin News of the Day reads, in news from the United States, man who tried to rape a 7-year-old girl agrees to castration. In news from the U.S., man who tried to rape 7-year-old girl agrees to castration. That's a broadcast. A little over 2.5 minutes of NewsSpin. That is a record. I suspect there's a catch to it. Maybe we might not have a NewsSpin program on Monday. You never know. My name is Timothy Poleon. Enjoy your Friday. Enjoy your weekend. And God willing, maybe we might be on Monday at 12:30. Enjoy your weekend once again and be safe. Goodbye.